Hi, this is Josephine. Now in Japan, Tokyo, I'm interviewing this beautiful lady. Her name is Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Josephine.
Could you introduce yourself to our friends?
Yeah, definitely. So my name is Rachel. I'm from Massachusetts in the United States. I'm born and raised there. My dad is from Pakistan, my mom's from Tennessee. So I grew up in a really multicultural family and then went to school in upstate New York studying engineering.
Wow.
I also grew up in a Christian family, which I think we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. But yeah, at least after studying, or while studying engineering, God really turned my life over and called me to become a missionary with a campus organization called Cru. So that's when? So during college, yeah.
Oh, so it's been long years?
Yeah, I have been working with Cru for about 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you come to Japan? Why?
Yeah, it's a pretty loaded, it's a long story. I would say my journey is joining Cru and then coming to Japan. Yeah, because of my family background, missions was not my main avenue. You know, kind of pursuing the American dream, making money, becoming successful. Those are my goals. But God really put a lot of international peoples in my path, like throughout college, and cultivated this heart to cross cultures for the gospel. Yeah, during college, I really got to see how beautiful different cultures are and how they represent different aspects of God's character, as well as how broken we all are, and we need grace. We need, yeah, we need the gospel. So,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Your dad is from Pakistan. How did he react to your faith?
Well, he actually grew up in a Christian family also.
Wow.
So my dad is also Christian, yeah.
So he was not impacted by Muslim culture?
No, well, maybe negatively.
Okay.
His family was not necessarily treated kindly, being a Christian family in Pakistan.
Okay.
So yeah, he had some difficult experiences.
So you've been converted in Christianity in USA, your family. So why did you choose to live in Japan?
Yeah, I was serving in a different Asian country before coronavirus, but because of everything that happened, the pandemic was forced to go home. But yeah, then waited for a long time. Like God made me wait. Like, oh, I'm going back to Asia. I'm going back to Asia, and that never happened. That opportunity closed, but God asked me to pray through Acts, Acts 19, I believe, where Paul is trying to get into Asia and the Spirit of Jesus keeps telling him no. And I had many people praying that over me. And finally, I watched this video from some of our Japanese co-workers in Japan, and they said, we are like the Macedonians in Acts 19, that when Paul couldn't get into Asia, he had a dream, and they said, come help us. And we're saying to you right now, please come help us. And that was God's answer to prayer for me to
So you follow the vision.
Yeah.
So what's your impression before you came to Japan about the Christianity here?
Before coming to Japan, definitely I didn't know that much, but it's very dark. Yeah, Japan is full of idols. Just
true.
It's a very wealthy country, especially in Asia, and yeah, they have a lot of comforts and like normal things. And at the same time, there are like altars and temples everywhere to tons and tons, like thousands of different gods. So the people aren't like intentionally spiritual, but I think that comfort and the mask of like, oh, we're fine, we have everything we need. They're just totally, their eyes are shrouded to how spiritually dark this place is and how unhappy people are, and yeah, they need the Lord. They need
you sense that they are unhappy?
Definitely.
Wow.
Definitely.
Could you describe this part more?
I think it's pretty well known that Japan is some of the
wealthy, modern, everywhere is so clean, and everything advanced. So why they are not happy? How do you notice that?
just statistically, Japan has some of the highest suicide rates in the world. And it's not uncommon to be on the train and you see a little notice flash like, oh, personal injury, like a train's delayed for how much time. So that is very common. Yeah, just people taking their own lives, but then, yeah, just even if you're on the train and you see everyone is like staring at their phones and not interacting with people, and not making eye contact, because the goal is to make sure you're not making other people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because of that, people are just very isolated from one another, despite this being such a like community-oriented culture.
Okay, Rachel, since you were in Japan for a couple of years, how do you find the faith interact with others, especially non-Christians?
It's a tricky, it's difficult to navigate. Japan has a lot of negative views of religion and of Christianity, and they have good reason to, because there's a lot of cult activity also in Japan. So even recently, when Prime Minister Abe was assassinated, it was related to cult activity, and that shot up people's already high awareness and caution. So the way I present myself really matters a lot, so that I don't get lumped in with all of these dangerous people and these cults. Yeah, so totally like going in through like genuine relationship. I'm not showing up with an agenda. I'm not showing up to like change someone right away. Like I'm just there to be a genuine friend and often offer some kind of service if it's teaching English or like helping them, yeah, in whatever way. And then through real relationship, getting into real conversations like, oh, how do you deal with stress? Like what's hard in your life? Like what do you think about your meaning and purpose? And through that, getting to share the gospel with people. But it's a very, very long process here in Japan.
Well, I have a very serious question.
Okay.
So, how do you think Jesus touched your lives? That most significantly, that you feel so eager to serve Him?
Yeah. I became a Christian at a pretty young age. Growing up in the church, like hearing the same kind of message every week, but I think there were a lot of disconnections in my understanding of God's character and like what the gospel does for me. Maybe until college, honestly. It was in college and through Crew that I really came to understand what unconditional love means. That God doesn't just want my service, but He wants like me personally. Like me, like Rachel, as He made me, different from like the girl I'm sitting next to, or like the guy who's up there speaking. Like He wants like me. So, and He made me specifically and intentionally. So yeah, coming to understand that genuine love and that like I don't have to be good enough at something or like perform well enough. Like Jesus did all of that for me, so that I can know Him and enjoy Him and like receive grace. That just freed me up so much to live my life like without anxiety, without trying to please other people all the time. Just brought a lot of like peace and like calmness to my life, because I think I'm generally have a propensity for anxiety and just to be like anxious and worried a lot, especially about other people's opinions of me. Yeah, so a lot of like freedom and peace that comes from the Lord. And honestly, that's still a daily battle as I go into new situations. I mean, coming to Japan, totally new culture. It seems like so much of my life is based around how well I can speak Japanese.
Wow, so now you can speak very well in Japanese.
I'm in the process of learning. It's a long process. It's a tough language. I've only been here a year and a half, so yeah, I've got a long way to go. But because it's so important, it's easy to measure myself by my skill level and often say, wow, I suck. Like I'm just not good enough because I can't communicate well or I can't understand people well. And even that, like the gospel has to speak in and say, like God says, I called you here, I will equip you. And while you're in the learning process, like that's where I want you to be.
Yeah.
You don't have to rush this process. You don't have to like think you're less than until you hit a certain level. Like all throughout the process, you're where I want you to be, and you're good, and I'm working. So just trust me and enjoy me. So yeah, whole radical mentality switch with the Lord.
Thank you, Rachel. I know this is a very short introduction for Rachel, but we are going to have another interview so you can describe more about the missions here. And also you can encourage some people, especially new generations, to come to join you or others in Japan.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
Yeah, thank you so
for today.
much. Yeah.
God bless.
Yeah.